Hello and welcome back to Maths with Mr. Duffield. I am the aforementioned Mr. Duffield, and what I've got in front of me is another one of the past IGCSE questions that I sent my UF and GE last week. Again, it's a series, this, of going through questions that a lot of you have expressed difficulty with. So let's get cracking. You'll note that the values in this question, the printer missed out for some reason, so I've had to fill them in myself. R is proportional to t squared. The graph shows the relationship between r and t, for the values of t being between 0 and 4. There you go. Find a formula for r in terms of t. Because we're told r is proportional to t squared, that means r, fishy sign, t squared, or in other words, r equals k t squared. That's the basic formula, the basic form, for equations linking directly proportional variables, okay? The fact it's t squared makes no difference. Now let's take a look at this graph. To me, one coordinate point in particular stands out, and that's this one, where t here equals 2, and then r here equals 10. And again, yes, the printer missed out the variable labeling of the axes. That is going to be on your final GCSE paper. It's just that my printout didn't quite pick that up. So let's substitute in those variables, those values in for r and t. So 10 equals k times 2 squared. Okay, replacing r and t with their values that we know from that graph. So 10 equals 4k, and divide both sides by 4, I get k equals 10 over 4, or in other words, 5 over 2. So my final form, my final kind of expression, is replacing k with that value that I've got to give me r equals 5 over 2 t squared. First part done, 3 marks, nice and easy. The second part here, given that r equals 8 over 5x, show that t is inversely proportional to x for all values of t being bigger than 0. Inverse proportionality. So what does that mean? T proportion. If t is inversely proportional to root x, t is equal to, k over root x. That's what inverse proportion means. It means instead of there being equals k multiplied by my other variable, it means that my variables are related by k, being divided by, there being a quotient by which my second variable is on the denominator. That much should be stuff that you already know. So effectively, if I can rearrange the algebra that I've got into this form, I've demonstrated it's inversely proportional. Because I've got a variable for r here, or an expression for r here, 8 over 5x, I also have an expression for r over here, 5 over 2t squared. Let's set them as being equal to each other and see what happens. 5 over 2 t squared equals 8 over 5x. Let's see what happens if we rearrange. Times both sides by 2. We get 5t squared on the left because that denominator cancels, and then 8 on this half on this right hand side becomes 16 because this fraction's doubled. So far so good. If we divide both sides by 5, we notice what happens next. To get t squared on its own, 16 over 5x divided by 5. 5 times smaller. That means the denominator is going to be multiplied by 5, isn't it? Yeah? 25x as a denominator is 5 times smaller than 5x as a denominator. And that's what happens when we divide by 5. We effectively, you can think of this, if you like, as timesing by 1 over 5. Yeah? 16 over 5x times 1 over 5 makes 16 over 25x. I hope that helps visualize what's going on here. Okay, now I'm tempted, before I go on to square rooting, or maybe not even, maybe we could just get away with square rooting this here and now. If we square root both sides, t is going to be equal to 4 over 5 root x. Okay, the 25 is square rooted and the x is square rooted. Now, if I want this form to be in k over root x, what I really should do at this point is kind of almost divide the top half of this fraction by 5 and divide the bottom half of this fraction by 5. So it becomes 4/5, or in other words 0.8 over root x. Okay, so in expressing it in that form, I can say therefore t is inversely proportional to the square root of x QED. Just to summarize what we've been told in the question, but we've demonstrated it algebraically by rearranging. T equals 0.8 over x is exactly what the examiner is looking to see for this proof to basically be done. And that's 2 extra marks, and the paper 2 marks closer to complete. I hope that makes sense. Lots of issues going and tricky stuff going with this second part in particular. But as long as you understand what each step contains, you'll be able to string it all together when it comes to the actual exam. I wish you all the best in your future endeavours. Keep on working hard, and for goodness sake, upload your work to Teams. I will talk to you very soon.